Good morning. Gary Ritchie here for Pharmaceutical Manufacturing magazine. We're here today at IFPAC 2009. I'm here with Dr. Ralf Marbach of VTT, Dr. Tim Stevens of BMS, principal scientist. Dr. Marbach, you and I had discussed last night the use and development of this science-based calibration approach. And it turns out that Dr. Stevens here has been able to implement this at BMS. Tim, tell me a little bit more about the strategy you use to deploy this, how it's working out for you, and how you see it continuing forward in the development strategy in the future at BMS.
Well, I'd say a couple years back I was told I needed to develop chemometric methods for all the ingredients in one of our products. And I started trying to do it, and it didn't work. It just didn't work. And what I was doing in my desperation, I was reading through, and it actually was Pharmaceutical Manufacturing. It was an article that Ralf had in it, and my eyes lit up when I saw it because it made sense. And it was a method I immediately started writing up in MATLAB, talked to him, and started deploying. And we have it now on our presses, looking at the granulation as it's flowing into the feed frame. And we're monitoring, looking at the excipients, looking at the APIs in real time so the operators can see the uniformity right before the tablets are made.
Let's go a little bit further into the detail of this. When you and I discussed this, classical PLS or PCA multivariate analysis requires the use of a primary method with reference values such as HPLC for assay or content uniformity. How are you using those, or how are you not using those differently with this science-based calibration?
But right now, we're still doing this. Is on legacy products where we're trying to get extra information on our batch. So we're using it to correlate and see how well our assays and our content uniformity and dissolutions are going. In the future, we would expect to be able to use this information directly, either to control the press or to release the batch based on the measurements right at the press, combined with weights, thicknesses, and the hardnesses of the tablets. Because essentially that would make redundant the measurements you're doing after the fact.
Maybe
Ralf?
I can say a technical word here. It turns out that if you look with a mathematical microscope, then you see that what is happening internally in the statistical calibration method world, PLS, PCR, and others, is that the lab reference values are really used to determine via the process of correlation, simple process of correlation, the response spectrum. You don't see that implicitly use response spectrum as a user when you do a PLS, but somewhere internally is defined that response spectrum. And all that work that goes into lab reference values and making variation into samples is in the end all directed at coming up implicitly with an internal estimate. But in many of the applications in pharma, you can directly measure it, and that's it, and you're done.
In your presentation and your introduction of this concept, are you seeing a good positive response? You're getting many questions from your session?
We're seeing positive response, and we're also seeing other companies that are doing similar things but haven't used these techniques yet for the methods, which I think will help them.
Ralf, I think on the horizon I see a workshop for this. We can deploy this around the world. What do you think? Yes, why not? And perhaps Tim. Anyway, here we are at IFPAC 2009. It was a pleasure speaking with you guys, and we hope to see you back next year.
Pleasure.